Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Fantasy Fellow Show. My name is Kyle, the fellow KGB. Tonight, I'm wrapping up the AFC West fantasy previews here. We're going to go over the Los Angeles Chargers tonight here. We'll go about 12, 15 minutes on this video, but there's a lot to like with this Chargers team. I think Justin Herbert basically just blew off everyone's expectations last year and really impressed us. He's got some MVP odds that look really appetizing right now. Austin Eckler's going to be healthy. Of course, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams. No more Hunter Henry. We'll get to that in a second. But in this video, we're going to go over the depth chart. We're going to look at the draft class. We're also going to go over the notable additions and who they've lost in free agency. But before we get down to those topics, I just want to review here. New head coach, new offensive coordinator. This should be fun. So Brandon Staley, I have his Wikipedia pulled up here. Let me just talk you guys through what he's been doing. So he's 38 years old. He started in the NFL back in 2017 with the Chicago Bears outside linebacking coach, Denver Broncos in 2019 as their outside backers coach. And then last season, he was the defensive coordinator for the Los Angeles Rams, and now he's the head coach. So he's bringing a defensive background here to the Chargers. He had a lot of college experience here, too, going back to 2006. Some of the high notes here, he was with the Tennessee as a graduate assistant. And a couple other stints here and some nice defensive coordinator roles here. So he does have a strong defensive resume. And then let's see what he did with Joe Lombardi here, who's 49 years old. He has been in the NFL basically since he had some work here with the New York, New Jersey Hitmen in 2001. That's an XFL team. But his first NFL experience was in 2006 with the Atlanta Falcons, defensive assistant. He then moved to New Orleans as an offensive assistant. That was from 2007 to 2008. Quarterbacks coach with the Saints for a couple of years. Offensive coordinator for the Lions in 2014, 2015. And then he's been the New Orleans Saints quarterbacks coach from 2016 to 2020. And this is what I really like, is he's been able to just soak up Sean Payton's offense and in the way his philosophies go. Really good quarterbacks coach. He stayed there for 4 years, so he must have been doing something right. And now he gets to go quarterback coach our guy here. Forgetting his name, Justin Herbert. So Justin Herbert's on the list as one of the next potential best quarterbacks in the NFL. He blew everyone away last season, and he's going to come over here and teach them things that Drew Brees, even I guess Taysom Hill and Jameis Winston. There's a lot of good quarterback coaching skills that have come along from the Saints the last few years. So this is technically his second offensive coordinating job in the NFL, back with the Lions in 2014, 2015. But I'm very excited here for Joe Lombardi and then Justin Herbert as well. So we should be looking forward to this new look offense. Before we talk about depth chart and the players that are interesting us for fantasy, let's just take a peek here at the notable additions and departures. We'll start with the departures. Hunter Henry, that's a big loss there, a young tight end that they liked. He's replaceable, but again, he was entrenched into the offense as the tight end one. Really good security blanket last year for Herbert. Safety Rashawn Jenkins, linebacker Denzel Perriman, Tyrod Taylor, who's now with Houston, and then Casey Hayward, who's with the division rival Las Vegas Raiders. And then the notable additions, a really good signing here, Corey Linsley from Green Bay, offensive tackle Matt Filer, tight end Jared Cook from the Saints, which again, our guy Joe Lombardi was just hanging out with the Saints the last 4 seasons. That's going to bring some good continuity, and he'll know some of the plays and the terminology. And then quarterback Chase Daniel will be the backup. So the Corey Linsley signing is the headliner here. Really good move to surround our guy Justin Herbert with some offensive line, and Matt Filer as well here too. So I like the offensive-minded free agency class. And then looking at the 2021 draft class, for them to get Rashawn Slater at pick number 13, who some people even thought he was better than Penei Sewell, and he could have been a top 5, top 10 offensive tackle if there wasn't so many dang quarterbacks. But to get Rashawn Slater here, offensive tackle, maybe one of the best offensive tackles in the draft class. For sure, probably the second best, but really good move here. Again, you got Corey Linsley. Now you're plugging a tackle here for Justin Herbert. It's a fantastic move. Round 2, they get another fan favorite here, Asante Samuel Jr. out of Florida State. I think everybody, if you follow the draft, you wanted your team to get Asante Samuel Jr. round 2. The Chargers are able to do it. They did lose Casey Hayward. They're going to plug in Samuel. Round 3, they get one of my favorite dynasty prospects to watch out for, and that's Josh Palmer out of Tennessee. Go open up a new tab, go to YouTube, and just type in Josh Palmer Tennessee highlights, and then just picture what he can do with Justin Herbert. I'm actually very excited about Josh Palmer. I've been trying to snag him in some best ball drafts, and I just think, if you guys remember Tyron Johnson and Jalen Guyton last year, these guys were just getting open deep, and Herbert can hit the deep ball like no problem. So I'm thinking Josh Palmer, again, go watch those highlights. He's going to fit in very nicely with Herbert's game. They come back to the offense in round 3 again with Trey McKitty, Georgia tight end. Another really good move. I don't think we're going to expect much out of him this season with Jared Cook and Donald Parham ahead of him on the depth chart. But Trey McKitty could be the future tight end for Justin Herbert. We'll watch for him in the training camp and preseason. They come in the 4th round and get Chris Rumph in the 2nd out of Duke, defensive end. In the 5th round, Brendan James, Nebraska offensive lineman. And then in the 6th round, they had 2 picks there. They get Nick Niemann, Iowa linebacker, and Larry Roundtree III, running back out of Missouri. We're going to keep it. We're going to just preseason watch list. Just watch Larry Roundtree. We'll see what happens there. And then they finish their draft with a safety. So this is a really good draft class for the Chargers. I think this sets them up very well. They get starters for now with Slater and Samuel. I think I'm going to probably call Josh Palmer a starter, as he's their number 3, maybe their number 4, but he will contribute right away this season. And then we got some guys to monitor for the future with McKitty, and then all these defensive linemen. Are the defensive prospects the rest of the way. So far, so good for the Chargers 2021 off season. And then let's look at this depth chart. Justin Herbert, Chase Daniel, Easton Stick. Let's go look at where Justin Herbert finished last season. I think he's probably being drafted as like the 5th, 6th, 7th quarterback off the boards right now. He did, and keep in mind, he did finish as quarterback 10 last season in 15 games. If we filter, though, by fantasy points per game, he would have been still, I guess, quarterback 10. I forgot Dak Prescott was probably balling out there for a little bit. But you're getting a top 10 quarterback, a kid that threw for 4,300 yards, 31 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, and he rushed for 5 touchdowns. I think the rushing upside there needs to be remembered. But also, with Justin Herbert, you got to factor in Austin Eckler missed a lot of last season. This offense is going to be more efficient. Herbert showed a really good knack for hitting the running backs in receptions. So this is looking very good here. I think for me, Herbert, he can be your quarterback 1 in a standard league. But man, if you can get him as your quarterback 2 in superflex leagues, that's then we're talking. I think that could be a lot of fun. And again, he's got MVP odds that a lot of people I've seen are they're taking them just throughout Twitter. So again, Chase Daniel, Easton Stick are the backups. The running backs, Austin Eckler. You guys should see my projections for Austin Eckler. Assuming he plays healthy for a full season, we're getting a potential top 5, top 10 lock for a running back here. So I love me some Austin Eckler. In a PPR basis, he still finished as, where was he? Running back 26, but he averaged 16.5 fantasy points per game. If you filter here by the PPR tab, that would have put him as running back 13. Again, only 10 games, 530 rushing yards, only 1 rushing touchdown, but he did catch 2 touchdowns, 54 catches, 403 yards. So he's looking at a pretty nice season if he can put it all together and stay healthy. But let me just look here. I thought he got hurt early one game here, only 7 for 18 that game. He did get kind of hurt early in Tampa Bay game, so that game doesn't even count. So his numbers could be a lot better. Basically, he did this in 9 games. You can basically double these numbers and see where he's at. But I'll show you guys my projections real quick for running backs here. Austin Eckler is my running back 5 this season. I have him running just under 1,000 yards, 5 rushing touchdowns, where that's kind of the variable. I mean, I could swing one of those more towards the receiving column, but I do have him catching 88 passes for 680 yards and 4 touchdowns. So maybe 9-10 touchdowns on the season, but he's just going to get pummeled with targets from Justin Herbert. And then again, Joe Lombardi. You guys think about the Saints offense, and Saints running back Alvin Kamara, he just catches passes out of that backfield. Austin Eckler is going to probably do his best impression of Alvin Kamara this season. That's my hunch. For me, Austin Eckler, if you have the 11th, 12th overall pick, you have to really consider taking Austin Eckler there, especially if you're at the 12-13. That's probably my favorite spot to be right now because you get choice on Austin Eckler. If I could walk away with Aaron Jones and Austin Eckler, I'm feeling really good about my running backs. So the guys behind Eckler in case of emergency, you got Justin Jackson, Josh Kelly year 2. There's Larry Roundtree, who they drafted in the 6th, and then Darius Bradwell. If anything does happen to Eckler, you're going to see probably some duo again of Justin Jackson, Joshua Kelly. Josh Jackson really hasn't proven to be reliable with his health either, and Josh Kelly, he got a lot of touches, but they weren't very valuable touches last year. So this one's Austin Eckler or bust. I'm going in on it. I want a piece of this Chargers offense. I'm very excited about Joe Lombardi, just pairing up with Herbert and Eckler and these receivers. So Gabe Neighbors is there for the fullback. Now looking at the wide receivers, I got Keenan Allen, Mike Williams listed as the starters, and then you got a huge list of guys here competing for number 3, 4, and 5. I do think Josh Palmer, Tyron Johnson, Jalen Guyton, those are the clear top 5. I would assume Joe Reed, maybe KJ Hill make the 6th and 7th, maybe even Trey Pipkins. So there's a handful of guys there vying for position, but it's all about Keenan Allen. It's all about Mike Williams. Let's just look and see where these guys finished last season. And Keenan Allen, I believe he was like top 10. Keenan Allen, just outside the top 10. He was number 12. He did miss 2 games last season, under 1,000 yards, but he did catch 8 touchdowns. And there was a handful of games where Herbert just pummeled him with targets. You see massive spikes here of 19 against the Jets week 11, and then 19 week 3 here. The majority of his games are double-digit targets. He started catching touchdowns at a consistent rate here. He caught 5 straight in 5 games here. You look at this run, 22 points, 21, 25, 12. That's like his floor, 12 to 13, 36, and 14. So really fantastic numbers here. Hopefully he can stay healthy for a full season. I'm all aboard getting Keenan Allen as he's a poor man's wide receiver 1. If you get him as your wide receiver 2, then we're feeling really good. Let's just take a peek here at Mike Williams. He's been kind of what he has been the last few seasons. He didn't get the amount of yards that we would have liked. He had 20.4 yards per catch back in 2019 with Rivers, but he comes back to his average here of almost 16, almost 800 yards receiving, 48 catches, 5 touchdowns. Mike Williams is the best ball receiver, guys. You're probably going to be a little bit annoyed with him in a redraft where you have to start him every week, but if you get him in a best ball league, you can see the spikes here. 1, 2, 3 games over 20 points. 1, 2, 3 other games with double-digit points. So 6 out of his 15 games were usable for best ball leagues. He's pretty cheap. I think he can maybe 8th, 9th round, somewhere around there. So he's the de facto number 2. I expect his receptions and yards and his target, maybe not the yards, but he should maybe see career high in targets and receptions. I don't think he's coming back to 10 touchdowns, but I do like Mike Williams. You gotta be careful with him in redraft. I think best ball is the way to go. And then same with I think you should take a flyer on Josh Palmer. If not, Tyron Johnson had moments. Jalen Guyton had moments too. But I totally get it. Just go with what you know. Trust Keenan Allen and then Mike Williams in best ball leagues. Now with Jared Cook, again, just linking it back to the Saints days. Jared Cook's been there for 2 years in New Orleans, and now he's over here with Joe Lombardi. He's going to step in right away to the starting lineup. I don't think he's much of a guy that you want to trust as a tight end 1 every week for best ball leagues. I love him as a tight end 2. Otherwise, in a redraft league, just put him on your bench as your tight end 2. You can draft somebody. Say you draft a Dallas Goedert and the Jared Cook duo. I think that's where it slides in really nice. Because if Cook is healthy, he's a touchdown machine. He should be loved by Justin Herbert. We know Lombardi's going to scheme him open. And then you got some backups here. I should probably move Donald Parham over here. But Donald Parham's going to be number 2, Steven Anderson, Trey McKitty, and then Matt Sokol and Hunter Kampmoyer. So they're probably keeping these tight ends for sure. I'm not really going to trust anybody outside Jared Cook as my tight end 2. But a lot of fun here with this offense. I just want to show you guys some of the numbers that I got. Again, I already showed you Austin Eckler as my running back 5. Let's look real quick. I do have Herbert as quarterback number 9 this season. Almost 4,800 yards, 35 touchdowns, 4 rushing touchdowns. For wide receiver, I do have Keenan Allen on a little bit of a dip here. He's wide receiver 16. And then where's Mike Williams end up? Mike Williams is my wide receiver 42. So there you go. He's going to be that wide receiver 3 flex. You don't know when to trust him. And then I still have to input my tight end numbers. But anyways, I'm excited about the Chargers. The AFC West is going to be pretty intense this season. Top to bottom, that might be one of the toughest divisions in football. I guess both Wests, NFC and AFC. But that's going to do it for the AFC West, the Los Angeles Chargers fantasy football preview. It's what night is it? It's Tuesday night. I'm going to probably be recording the NFC West in the next couple of evenings, so be sure to watch that. If you guys like this video, leave me a comment. Let me know what you guys think of the Chargers this year. Who are you guys wanting on your fantasy team? Who are you avoiding? And then I don't know. Let's just have a conversation. Subscribe if you're new. Like the video. We'll see you guys in another one. Thanks. Peace.